I'm going to go ahead and call the Manvel Parks Board meeting, May 22nd, 2025, to order. We're going to start off with a roll call. Linda Dunn, Paul Sofka.
Here.
Larry Akery.
Here.
Brian Saramito.
Here.
Marianne Atkinson.
Here.
Eileen Negler.
Here.
Negley, right?
You got it.
Okay. All right. If everybody would stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge. What is this? One state, under God, and one indivisible. I gotta practice that.
Right on my hand.
I grew up in Mississippi. All right. So we have one item on the agenda, consideration. I'm sorry, do we have any public comments?
I didn't sign a comment card, but since the crowd is small, maybe at the end, you might entertain some comment.
Come on up.
I'm Jim Forrest, and I'm the president of Sedona Lakes Utility Board. This is my cohort. This is Wallace Shep, and he's also a board member. And so we live in Sedona Lakes, which is adjacent to the Almost Heaven.
Mm-hmm. Adjacent to where?
Almost Heaven.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're the guys you have a contract with that mow the top of bank along those ponds.
All right. Let's get into the regular agenda item A, consideration and possible action to move forward with recommendations to the City Council on proposed Almost Heaven Park. Open the floor up for a discussion.
Yeah, I can just give a little bit of background. We've included this item so that we can get some feedback and recommendations from you. We do have Almost Heaven Park that we're looking at, and like the gentleman said, it's near Sedona Lakes development. What we wanted to talk about was a few things about the status of the park, how it is right now, what we are looking at in terms of the amenities that's there or what it can be in the future, number one. And Brian is here to give us some update on that. And the other thing, what we wanted to get feedback on was if you would like to see staff initiate or kind of look into opportunities for collaboration with, say, the Sedona Lakes HOA in some shape or form to bring that park up to speed or bring it to its full potential. So I would start with Brian giving us an update on where we are at with the park currently.
Can I interject? The HOA is in no way involved in that project. It's only that's all mud. There's no HOA.
I appreciate the input, but what I meant was like,
Do we want to
we
engage
would like to
them?
see,
Okay.
explore the options.
Okay.
So right now, I'm not 100% sure who's involved, who's not involved, but the item was to see if there's interest in you all to recommend staff to explore what, other entities to see if we can collaborate in bringing it up to its full potential. Right.
So, Almost Heaven Park is an absolutely, it will be a treasure for the city when it's developed. It's a park we've had for a while. It's in our 2016 Parks Plan. The city has not been maintaining it, but it has, as we say, it's got good bones. There's a lot of old oak trees out there. That has some topography. It's right on Mustang Bayou. It is just north of Dolores Martin Park, the big 80-acre lake that we have. I encourage everyone to go out there and take a look. It is it's a real diamond in the rough, if you will. So at this point, we're kind of, as we know, we don't have a parks department. We don't really have people to maintain it. So we're just kind of weighing the idea and wanted to see what the board felt about partnering with Sedona Lakes, who's right there. They are already mowing a portion of the lake. They do a really good job on the part that's close to their homes. We probably would do something where the city would clean it up to a point to where it would be a little bit easier to maintain, because right now it's pretty rough out there. There's some big holes in the ground. There's some dead trees. There's some cleanup to be done, right? But it's all pretty doable. I encourage everyone to go out there and take a look around. It's a beautiful place. There is a half-a-mile trail that goes around the lake. There's a lake right in the middle, a pond. The trail is in pretty rough shape. We're going to have to do some sort of resurfacing to it in the near future. That would be part of the development plan, I guess you would say, or the repair plan that we want to come up with. So at this point, we're just, because we have limited resources, it really is a smart idea to partner with other people to get things done. So we're just sort of curious how the board would feel about exploring the possibility of, at this point, talking to Sedona Lakes or somebody else to partner with us to bring the park up into shape.
And I would like to just add one more thing. This whole idea stems from the fact that Sedona Lakes, near their treatment plant, there's some area where they are thinking about putting some park equipments.
It's committed.
Sure.
We've allocated $2 million to it.
Sure, we appreciate that input. But so we are in, they've submitted certain applications like a replat to allow for that use. Right now, that whole area is platted to only place the treatment plant. So that whole process is on, and it was at that point when staff was like, hey, Sedona Lakes has this plan to put play equipment in that area. We have an existing park that is right next to it.
I was going to ask, the proximity is right there.
Right.
So, okay.
How many acres is it?
I don't know the number of acres. It's good.
Less than 20.
Yeah.
Less than 20.
Probably.
In the flat land that would be the developable area, it's less than 20 acres.
But it's a good-sized park if you count the lake and all of that.
If you count the lake, but
Yeah.
I mean, as far as being able to construct things on it.
Just to make sure, Chair, that we capture everything that is being discussed, I think it would be a good idea for the gentleman to step up and speak in the microphone so that it's audible.
We've
Yeah,
been
thank
working
you.
on a park plan in the absence of anything being done in the neighborhood. Our HOA has no money. Our MUD has honestly had windfalls because of all of the tax valuations. As you guys have all seen, we've had valuations that have gone and skyrocketed. So we need to spend our money. And so we took a survey 2 years ago about building some parks in the neighborhood. We tried to partner with the HOA. I don't know, I think Mr. Acree might have been there. I spoke for the development agreement with Ashton Woods. So we do now have an HOA that is all resident controlled. Our MUD board is all resident controlled. But I know the HOA has no money. No HOA ever has enough money. So the MUD took it upon himself. Wallace is one of the spearheads on the project. He's a former engineer with LJA. And so we have been working with, we worked with a parks designer, and we actually met with Dan a couple of weeks ago, right after your announcement of Doris Martin Park. And we're very happy. We recommended her name to assist you guys in any kind of development plan. She did a really great job. Then we turned it over to our engineer, which is BGE, to do the work. So we have a wastewater plant that sits in the middle of it, not ideal, but it was really the only place we have. There's not very much it's kind of like you're almost heaven. You're limited to do what with the land that you have available. So we have gotten our clearance from CNR3 on theirs. We're looking to be on DD4's agenda on June 6th, and I believe we're in front of you guys on the 27th. So we're going
I
to
may
have.
interrupt you guys. Remember this from last time?
Yeah, that's what I was.
It's located on there. It just happens to be captured. It's in this space here. Maybe you can show us.
L, correct?
I tried to interrupt, so we can like visualize.
Yeah.
Like, here's your treatment plant.
Yes.
So where are,
So it surrounds the treatment plant because this is the old Tex Lawson property here.
okay.
And then we have, this is a pond.
Oh, that's a pond?
That's a
Okay.
detention pond. So we're going to build around this up to the DD4 property line.
Okay.
And our property line up here. So-
Okay.
So we have a dog park. We have a two-zone dog park, small dog, large dog. I'm sorry. If you want to pass that around.
I will. I was going to show everybody where he was
We have,
indicating.
on one side, we have a dog park, small dog, large dog.
See, Larry?
We have, on the other side, we have two play areas, small kid, large kid. We have two pickleball courts with the ability to expand to 4. And we have a play field behind the wastewater plant, between the wastewater plant and the creek. And then we also have a couple basketball. Again, we only have 600 homes in the neighborhood, so we're not designing a giant park. And we're going to have parking area in front of, as you come in off of that cul-de-sac, we're going to have a parking area there for 12 to 15 cars. So,
Can I ask you a question? What
Sure.
do you see, what would you like for us to do in terms of development of this park?
I will tell you what my residents would love for you to do. Repave the decomposed granite pathway. If you guys did anything, if you would, and I actually called my erosion control guy to find out what it would cost, and they didn't get back to me before the meeting. Just to know I'd have a back of the pocket so I could say this is what my guy said it was worth. But if you did that and maybe cleaned up some of the trees, or you can pay us to clean up the trees. I mean, I've had the same guy out there for 7 years cutting that grass, and I think he does a good job. We only get paid $5,000 a year to cut that grass.
Wow.
And you might be a little behind on paying, but that's something we can talk about at another meeting. But we'd love to have you partner with it. We talked to Dan about an interlocal agreement for a joint development on that. I know you guys are as strapped as money as anybody, and so we talked about an interlocal. Dan mentioned maybe an interlocal. Bobby was also there at the meeting. We're committed to this park with the approval because we've got quite a bit of money invested in planning. We are waiting for this approval process to put a shovel in the ground. That's what we've been waiting for. It's been delayed now for various reasons, about 3 months. We had hoped to have a fall opening, but as my engineer told us, I told you regulation was going to take a while, and it has. And so I know we had our board meeting today. So that's what if you had any money to spend, it would be to do that. Now, we're a little constrained in the sense that it's not our property. So unless we have an interlocal agreement, we can't spend because it's not in
The mic.
Thank you. It's not in Sedona Lakes. So us spending our taxpayer money someplace other than Sedona Lakes. But if we had an interlocal agreement to do that, there's a possibility that we could help you fund that process.
Can I ask a couple of clarifying questions? Obviously, you're very committed to your park. Are you 100% committed to building it in the spot where you were?
At this point, with the amount of money that we have spent, that would be money flushed.
Okay.
Here's the reason we didn't even address this. Back when Buck Driggers was the developer, and this, I'm not sure. You want 5 minutes of history? I'll give it to you. So the area he made a deal with Dolores. And the deal was to keep those beautiful oaks on DeBello, which about half of them got wiped out when we widened DeBello Road all the way up to Sedona Lakes, because that's a 10-foot parkway at some point. So they built the new southbound, and that took out a bunch of those. But the deal was, the agreement was that Buck Driggers would build. He didn't have to build the new road on DeBello. He would cede the park over to the city, to cede that land over to the city, because it turned out with that 110-foot easement on the road, he didn't have any room to build the houses. So it was no good to him, so he gave it to the city, which was fine with us. And then he was going to build another section of County Road 58, which, if you guys are anywhere involved, I think you remember this, that the problem has been for the last 5 years getting a road agreement through, getting commitment on the road path through there. And then he's backed out on doing anything. We're going to have to rely on the county if that road's ever going to get built. So, and there's still no agreement. Last time I addressed you guys about the development agreement, the mayor said, if you need any help, but the problem is still nobody seems to have any money. Ashton Woods doesn't seem to have any money. The only people who seem to have money are the new car dealership that is scheduled to be on 58 northward. And they want to have something done in 2 years. So they've got money, but nobody else seems to have any money. So it's the county, the city, the developer that's on the south side, his name escapes me, we've worked with for 6 years. He wanted to be annexed, he wanted to have water, long story short. But we have committed so much money to that park, investment in time, engineering, and commitment to the neighborhood. That's another big thing, is commitment to our constituents.
Sure. Thank you for the history lesson.
Okay.
Brings everybody up to speed. One thing that we'd sort of kicked around of the different ideas of trail surface material is replacing the decomposed granite with more decomposed granite, or possibly going with blacktop. So the blacktop, one of the problems from what I understand is that there's four-wheelers that like to burn out on the trails.
Yes.
And that tears up the decomposed granite.
And we've never been able, even with Kyle's help, we put balusters up and
Sure.
we couldn't keep them out.
My question is just, and I had never really considered blacktop as a surface for like a trail, but it kind of makes sense because out there they have a lot of trouble with four-wheelers just tearing it up. How would you feel about blacktop versus decomposed granite?
Personally, a lot of our walkers like the decomposed granite.
Yeah.
The second problem that's going to happen with the asphalt, it's going to get potted. It's going to get, the ground is so unstable. The
Yeah.
compaction rate out there
Maintenance is gonna be
it's a sand pit. Come on, let's be honest. It's a sand pit. So the compaction rate, and as I told Wallace the other day, I said, you know where all that sand went for your lots, don't you? I said, right out of here.
Right.
And so the compaction rate was only half of what it expected to be.
Okay.
So that's part of the problem why a quick repair on a few shovels of decomposed granite goes a long way versus getting a crew out to fix a hard surface.
Gotcha.
Yeah, unless you strip it completely and rebuild
Oh,
it
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then that's really expensive.
And we had an excursion of water flow out of our water plant, and it washed all the decomposed granite down. And within 2 days, I had a crew out there replacing the granite. It was relatively inexpensive to do.
Yeah. It's plentiful.
And you're right, it's plentiful. So
That was kind of it off of the top of the head. That one was sparked by the fact that you said that the number one thing you would like to see is a trail. So,
Improvement, my wife is an avid walker, you know, there are owls out there, there's hawks out there, there's lots of beautiful stuff. And until we can make it a true park, you know, the walking trail is really nice. And I don't know if you heard us, we manage the pond. And we have just, Wallace, how much did we spend on that last project? How much? $100,000 on side slope reconstruction on that part of the pond, so that we like our residents to be able to look out there and survey a pond that looks as good as this, but our side slopes, I'll tell you, look a hell of a lot better.
they do. They really do.
So we have treated it like it was our own, even though it is not ours. And so if anything you could do, and they're two different uses. Park benches would be great out there. You know, some very inexpensive stuff to do that would cause almost heaven to be a nicer place than it is, until the money comes on to do something in a larger scale. In the meantime, you know, hopefully by the end of the year, we will actually have some recreational equipment in that area. And so they aren't exactly adjacent, but the HOA does manage a pass-through next to where the Tex Lawson plant used to be. There's an easement there that they've started to manage because they knew what we were doing.
And that connects up with the trail somehow?
It connects up with the street called Turnbridge.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, and it will come in, so you could park in the cul-de-sac and come into in the park from two different ways.
Okay.
So that we have parking on the street, parking in the cul-de-sac, and then we also have parking within the bounds of our park. What did we name it? It was Sedona Lakes Park, right? I mean, it was something really dramatic. So that's where we are. We intend it to be a nice place. We didn't realize it was going to cost so much. We had some other pathways planned around ponds 3 and 4. If you got your map, I'll show you where those are. That's these two ponds that you don't see over here. There's two large ponds, and there's some wetland in there that we had talked about. You might, if you got your Google Maps, bring it up. Yes. We have also done the side slopes on those. Beautiful out there. It's really quite nice.
Are you talking about the ponds that are actually in the neighborhood?
Yes,
or
the ponds in the neighborhood.
that, right?
Yes, let me do this for you, and then you can see them better.
The satellite
These
view?
two ponds right there.
Okay.
That's two different ponds, and those are all detention ponds. for,
Okay, because the
stormwater.
Almost Heaven is proposed in the Dolores Martin Park. So is that because the proposal was to actually link those together?
With some kind of bridge. Have you guys
Yes.
priced a bridge lately?
No, we didn't get that far.
They said that that you guys were going to do it, that
Yeah.
the Sedona Lake. I'm just making that up. I'm just want to see what you say.
Two bridges.
I'll tell you what, I'll tell you something. So I'll tell you how much this cost. We proposed putting in, as part of our park projects, just, and this is a spillway. We talked about putting a bridge over that.
My bridge in there.
It was $800,000. Because, you know what?
Well, it
Has to be handicapped
yeah,
accessible.
that, and it has to be set, because it's a, like you said, it's a sand pit. So it has to be
Right.
stabilized
Yeah,
and
So
everything.
Tiered.
that quickly went off of our radar.
So-
Considering, you know,
With this proposal, can you get to it any other way than through your neighborhood?
where's that?
The L, like
well,
this one. I mean,
You're-
you'd
so
have to
we're
be-
right here
So you would have to be.
It's the turn bridge
in
is
the
the
at
thing.
the end, Kestrel Ridge.
Yeah,
At the end of Kestrel
yeah,
Ridge.
Kestrel Ridge here.
Here, turn
Right,
your map, that view on. One more time.
Satellite.
The satellite, yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
And so, this is Turnbridge.
Right.
The HOA is in the process of making this a little bit larger. But we'll have the dog parks here, and I'm sorry, I apologize. if you pull up our website, if you want to, you can see what we put on our website. This is the play field back here. It's an all-purpose play field for, it doesn't have any backstops or anything, but it's got the ability to be multi-purpose. And then basketball stuff goes over here, and then these are all, this is parking lot, and this is two different age group of
The playground.
playground equipment, and then the pickleball courts are here.
So you were asking about access, so you'll see that Kestor Ridge Court, and then also the Turn Ridge Court.
Yeah,
Turn Bridge.
and that's all depends if the HOA has enough money to cut to maintain their easement.
But if you or I wanted to go, we'd have to go through their neighborhood to get to it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. And because this, where you're,
Here's the thing we know, we can't restrict access, or we're not going to restrict it.
okay,
We're not advertising it as a neighborhood park, because it was paid for by our taxpayers. But that doesn't mean somebody's not gonna do there. We're not putting lights on it. It's only gonna be dusk to dawn. Well, I mean, dawn to dusk. And, let's hope it's not dusk.
Yeah, let's hope.
You never know.
I'll be on a pitchfork somewhere with the neighbors. But that's really what we're trying to do, and we allocated right at $2 million, 1.7, I think it was. Wallace is the guy who moderates me on how much I spend. And then we kept the design work on those other two ponds as preliminary work for if we had future money.
Sir,
Yes.
if you could speak into the mic, that way it'll be recorded.
So we have another section, a pond with pathways. You know, we looked at building, observations tower, everything just got so doggone expensive. But Julianne, who is our mud attorney, said there's money out there, federal grant money to do park development, but you got to go through the bid process to do it. And so that was the conversation that she had with Bobby and with Dan to see if in the future, because there's going to take some seed money on both parts, everybody's part to get something moving. But in the meantime, as they say back at the ranch, something to do, an improvement. This is no man's land back there, by the way. I've been here in front of city council because at one point you guys weren't answering, nobody was answering any response calls to the neighborhood because it was stuck out there. And so they did an interlocal agreement with Brazoria County because the Brazoria County says, we're not going, that's city of Manvel property. So we've been stuck in the rock and a hard place with a lot of different things that we've overcome over time. And, Kyle put some balusters up to try to keep the four-wheelers out. They're faster
It's
than
a
we
tough
are.
call. It's pretty open.
They would drive their cars to the very back. The kids would drive their cars. They would go on Snapchat party, and they would cross the creek and go into Doris Martin, what's Doris Martin Park now, and have afternoon parties. But they'd drive their trucks all over. And we finally got the sheriff to come out and help mitigate that. But so we've done a lot with the pond, and we've done a lot with trying to make it a nice place. But until we have an agreement to agree, we can't put our public money into that. And you can go out. I talked to the HOA president today. They just don't have. We are just now have a all resident HOA. We've been living under a developer HOA who spent no money. We've got stumps and trees that they're having to get cleared out of their reserve funds.
Well,
So it's very tough, and I don't envy his position. But anyway, if you've got other questions for me, I can stand up here and talk probably all night. I've lived in Sedona Lakes. I was house number 26 in Sedona Lakes. And at that point, you could count them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had retired, and I had nothing to do, so I started attending the MUD meetings. And so within 3 years of the development starting, we had an all-resident MUD board. So everybody on our MUD, all the developer representatives had been displaced. Do you remember Mr. Lewis, longtime friend of Doris's? He was on our board, and then we had some developers that were professional board members, and so we've moved them out. And I've been on the board since 2012. We moved here in August of 10. I'll have my house paid for in 3 months.
That's wonderful.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
So, and I know you had I saw your park plan when it came out. It took me a while to re-find it on the website though, your park plan.
Park plan.
The original one?
City of Manvel.
Yeah, that City of Manvel
Yeah.
park plan. It took me a while. I did find it the other day again.
That came out in 16.
16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's time for a revision. Well, I think that at this point, we're at a point where the city has a desire
Okay.
to clean up the park to a point. I think that what's before us tonight is if we want to pursue a partnership with Sedona Lakes. They've been a great asset so far. They've really taken good care of one end of the pond. I think they would make a
In the
wonderful
south end, we made a conscious decision to leave it as a natural scape. Because you walk from Manicured, you go down on the south end near the spillway, it becomes way more natural, and we left it that way on purpose, kind of following the lead of what Pomona had done on some of their natural scape stuff.
Yeah.
And not cutting it and not maintaining it.
The park it's really is a diamond in the rough. I encourage everyone to go out there and take a look.
My biggest concern is if you put any parking there, it's going to cut deeply into the available space. And I'm telling you, you will have people with pitchforks here if you have clusters of people parking on the cul-de-sacs in the neighborhood.
That's what I was
And we're all voting members we're in the ETJ, but we do vote. So.
I've been out there a couple of times. I've actually mowed it once. In the Matrix, they say that you don't know somebody until you fight them, right?
Right.
But in the parks world, you don't know a park until you actually mow it. That's how, so I ran the mower over every inch of ground out there. It's surprising how well used the trail is.
Oh,
There's always at least one person on the trail.
This is my walker.
Yeah. I mean,
He's out there every morning.
yeah. Got a lot of positive feedback from people. I was mowing out there. It really is a beautiful park. As we maintain it, we're going to have to put a culvert off of 90 in order to get tractors.
Equipment in.
Equipment, yeah. It's going to have to happen at some point, but.
Because the way we have designed our mow is we have easements. Our mow team can put a tractor in and mow all the way around without ever having to pull that tractor out onto a trailer and put it back in somewhere else. So you kind of loop all the way around the neighborhood. We've got some, we've been doing this a while. The only other place to bring it in is on the west side off the Turnbridge what's the name of that street?
Turnbridge Court.
Yeah.
Pardon?
On the
There's
west side.
Flagstone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the north.
You
And
can't
then,
bring it in
yeah,
off Flagstone.
yeah, so Turnbridge Court.
Turnbridge.
Yeah, Turnbridge Court, yeah.
Okay. You can't bring it in off, Turnbridge is on the wrong side. Turnbridge is on the east side. And there are culverts out there from the days of Almost Heaven, but they have balusters in front of them now. And that's why when we cut, we don't have to stop anywhere and put our mowers in. We can come through the neighborhood and complete the mow kind of in one contiguous loop.
Right.
So feel free to ask me. I'll take a seat and y'all can discuss. And if you have other questions, Wallace and I'll be here.
Joseph, I actually have a question for you. So we spoke with the county last month. Where are we with the conversation, with continuing a conversation with the county, or are they not interested in a partnership or assisting with the development?
Well, that's not related to this park, but just a heads up, we did discuss it with the city council, and they took y'all's recommendation, and Dan's, there will be ongoing conversations.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's nothing's been finalized yet, but there's ongoing conversations on that.
But that would take out Almost Heaven from this plan right here if we were to do something different.
These are two, even though they're close to each other,
Yeah.
they're two whole separate parks.
Right. So I'm just saying, because the plan was to link them together, according to this. But if, and then the other thing about access off of 90 or DeBello, parking could go over there if it wanted to be more of a city park. But then you got a city park right next to a city park, county park, or whatever it's going to be.
Well, it's going to be a neighborhood park.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And, you know, the Dolores Martin Park is, we're partnering with the county, but it's still a city park. You know, visitors that come, they don't know if it's a county park or if it's a neighborhood park. All they see is trails and, you know, stuff like that. So this is more of like the behind the scenes, how we would get from point A to point B. With Dolores Martin, we're getting to point B by partnering up with the county. They bring a lot of resources. Here, we're considering partnering with Sedona Lakes, who also brings resources. So it's just a way to get from point A to point B. They are two separate parks, even though one is, you know, we partner with the county, one we may partner with Sedona Lakes. We can still link them together. There's no reason why we could not.
Got to build the bridge.
Well, there's, you know, you can build a tunnel.
Well, and that was just my concern about the parks being right next to each other and then limiting to the neighborhood park versus the other, you know, and yes, if you're not going to restrict access, other people can come and visit the park. But again, there's no parking really, because I'm sure the people that live on that cul-de-sac are not going to want a bunch of cars piled up there.
Yeah.
So,
It's inevitable that area will develop. It's County Road 90. At some point, it will connect. There's land across the street that will, at some point, sell. It will not stay the way it is now forever, right? So it will be a neighborhood park, but there'll be more neighborhood around it. So there will probably be, in the future, more people that use the trail and they go to back and forth between the two parks.
By the way, there is a plan for Ashtonwood to put another 200 homes in, but that's been stalled now for 7 years.
That's down by, right off 288, isn't it?
That's right off 288.
Yeah.
One of the things that we could do, that my idea with the park is keep it very natural. If we did some leveling out there, you could have a nice play field, you wouldn't need to have equipment, you've got a nice walking trail. We plant a few more trees and keep it very natural
Yeah.
rather than making a park at it, since we're already spending quite a bit of money on the other side.
I personally like that idea. There is some rise and fall to the land out there as you get closer to Mustang Bayou. I would love to see us do some earthwork in the middle of the park, put some trees out there.
Some of those are relatively inexpensive compared to a park.
Sure, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Dirt cheap, as they say.
They're
Dirt cheap,
So
but
basically, you're going to call it a walking trail, not necessarily a park, is what the focus is, working on the walking trails.
Let me tell you what I believe has happened. Over the years, once you call something a park,
It stays a park?
it stays a park. So we, in our development agreement with the city, it's called park land.
Yeah,
And it isn't called a park, it's called park land.
yeah, we can call it like a natural area if we really want to go down that way, you know.
Yeah, we could
You
call it
talked about
green.
Allison Hawks down there,
Yeah.
you know, we can really differentiate it from the Dolores Martin Park.
You just call it green space.
Certainly have a different character around.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be very fitting with Dolores Martin Park. It's very natural. With the county, I think, wants it to be very natural. So I think it would be, to have this be more of a natural area, walking trail, trees and
Black
whatnot.
Heights, you know,
Yeah, absolutely. The pond is not large enough for any kind of boating or anything. It's very small. But I think it would be a wonderful natural area. I really think it would be needed.
We're interested in partnering to get that done. Hit us down because we have money.
So,
Yeah, I have a question. Since we'll be developing Dolores Martin Park, and when that's completed, I would think that outside visitors will be coming to that park rather than the local park. And if people parked over on Dolores Martin Park, could they could walk over to your park, or?
The county has left a wide enough easement across the new bridge for a walled pathway without spending $800,000 on a bridge. Because
Sir.
I don't really know what that bridge is gonna cost, but I'm telling you,
Mike,
I was shut down when I proposed a bridge just over a spillway.
Could you talk into the microphone if we want to?
I thought I was loud enough.
Well, we can hear you.
The county has, when they built that new bridge over Mustang, they left enough room for a walking path along that area. And I'm going to tell you, when you get down to building the bridge that's going to be compliant with all the regs, it's going to cost more money than you think it's worth. Once our park planner gave us what it was going to cost, it quickly became obvious that this was not going to be in our inside the neighborhood parks. It was just too expensive. I mean, it just got. But short of that, it could be accessible because you're going to have parking at Dolores Martin, and you know they can walk up the road. We can make it more convenient than it is to do that. My opinion. That it can be as convenient as possible, but they would take on a different character, and I think that would be something, you know, not themed so much as just a different character between the broad expanses of water that are in shallows and banks to the sides, the steeper side slopes in our pond.
Mm-hmm. It seems to me that we ought to consider, you know, a separation of the two parks. By building a bridge, that's going to bring a lot of outside people, and we've got more problems with your neighborhood, somebody coming in outside. So it seems to me if we just consider, you know, keeping the parks separate.
Paul, that's
and that way
totally up to the Parks
their
Board.
neighborhood could be protected, and everybody is going to go to Dolores Martin. But you got that beautiful lake, the fishermen, so the emphasis is going to be there anyway. You know, that's my.
And as a neighborhood, our HOA has restrictions on fishing in ponds, but that's a mud pond, and we don't have restrictions. And in fact, we'd like you to come and fish for alligator gar and catch and keep.
Oh, no put and take, okay.
So I think there are ways that we can move forward with it. Like I said, one of the first things is, if you guys on the city and the Parks Board put some effort into maybe some signage that says it's actually City of Manvel, or almost having something nature area. We don't have to call it a park. We can call it whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's your decision. But, you know, call it a nature area and have a different character than Dolores Martin Park.
Yeah,
And I love Dolores. I just, at some point, the rest of those trees on DeBello Road are going to come down. Probably not in my lifetime, but at some point, somebody's going to decide to put the bridge over American Canal, and it's going to be a 120-foot easement with 4-foot sidewalks on either side. Mm-hmm. So, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Great job.
Yes, sir, thank you.
May I?
Sure.
Okay, so just to get in the right frame, basically what they're looking for is to someone to upgrade the trails and possibly put park benches out there.
I wouldn't say that they're looking for that. The city is considering improving the park at this point. And we're wondering if we could partner with Sedona Lakes, how you would feel about,
In something like a memorandum of understanding?
pretty much, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, and that would allow you think for us to tap into some of your funds.
So I have to tell you that our mud attorney, Julianne Kugel, longest partner in crime is Bobby. They have been doing business together for the last 30 years. So you put two people together like that, we can hammer out an agreement. I mean, they are, you know, in the world that I live in, they're buds. And they could figure out how to come up to an equitable solution that benefited almost everybody. I love your thinking about our neighbors who are going to be, possibly be inundated with parking issues, because I'm going to be on the hook for that because we negotiated the deal with you guys. But I can't stop people from using those facilities. But you know, what we could do is put no parking signs. That might help keep some of that traffic out of those two very nice, large cul-de-sacs.
Yeah.
But then that keeps homeowners from parking.
Also, and is there room to put like a gravel parking lot without making too much? I mean, you know, just
There-
a small one.
There
And that
is
way it's not taking
potentially,
too much.
yeah, room for a small parking lot off of 90.
Baylor.
Right off of 90.
I don't know which one Baylor is. I was
Baylor,
thinking 90.
Baylor.
Baylor's 101. Baylor, where Baylor Road intersects development.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, further on up,
Yeah.
or further down.
There's a big
south.
flat area
Yeah,
right there
south.
that's
Yes.
off of 90. Yeah.
Right, you were talking about putting in
A culvert to bring equipment in.
And you
Baylor.
can put
Up
some
here, Baylor
state
is-
material
I call it
in
Awesome
to
Hill Road,
accomplish
but
that, and
I'm
then,
right
you know,
here.
At least some boundary markers. You don't even have to stripe it. It would just,
I don't see that.
Yeah, yeah. So in answer to your question, there is room away from the subdivision that would hold a modest number of cars.
Are you talking about like 90 or DeBello and Old Massey
no.
on the east
have-
side?
Baylor Road intersects,
Further on up.
this is Baylor Road right here.
Okay,
This road right here. Oh, that is, it's also called Old Massey.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. But
okay.
Yes.
No, I thought Baylor was across from Flagstone.
I don't think there's a.
Old Massey Ranch,
That's a
Old Massey
driveway.
Ranch.
That's my business card.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a driveway across from.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
I
it's
believe
Baylor,
you
yeah,
are
that's,
talking about
I think
Old
it's called
Massey.
Baylor something.
yeah, Old Massey Ranch.
Old
Massey,
Massey,
right?
Old Massey is the one that you're referring
Okay.
to.
Yeah, Old Massey.
I thought it was Baylor. Thank you, Jeff.
Down the
I
street,
didn't bring it up for those.
down the street, it turns into Baylor.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
Baylor.
down the street, okay.
Yeah.
It's like everything in Manvel, it has 4 names depending upon whose pasture it crossed.
Exactly.
We do that to confuse people.
Pardon?
We do that to confuse people.
Oh, we did? Oh, yeah. I worked in Bel Air
Oh, yeah.
where Gulfton ran in front of the Shell building,
And the Shell did not like
and
that.
Shell did not like it.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess my main concern would be that, you know, we would be making it feels like a decision to invest in this for just the residents of Sedona, even though it'd be open with no restrictions, but there's no parking, and we don't want to upset the community there with an abundance of cars in the cul-de-sac. We need to figure out a solution to that problem.
Well, since we're putting in our own park in the within the neighborhood that does have parking, that might mitigate that to some degree. And again, it's a walking trail, it's a nature, you know, come see the horned owl, and come see the eagle.
Yeah,
rather than being someplace that you come and.
major recreation, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
More of a
not even thinking about major
passive
at
recreation.
all.
Yeah, I was just saying,
Yeah.
getting there and being able to walk it if you don't live in that community.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of brought up the gravel parking right off that. That way you're not even going into the community and
Yeah.
getting in the
I-
way.
Trail, like a trailhead, you know, like
Yeah.
a trailhead.
Yeah,
I think that
Spaces.
right.
We had to put concrete in our parking lot, not stabilized material. I wanted stabilized material, had to put concrete because we actually drive in and have our sludge removal trucks in that area. And so our engineers were concerned that we were going to overload stabilized material and tear up the parking lot by having the large sludge trucks that have to come occasionally pump out those facilities. By the way, it doesn't smell around there. There is no smell around our park. It's fairly quiet, and you have a nice view of Mustang from our park. So it was kind of a logical choice, kind of only choice, where we had a large enough space to do anything in a contiguous area. So don't forget, that park is hopefully, if the city approves their piece, that park is underway and maybe be completed by, time hurricane season is over.
Brian, this is a closed pond. There's no water accessing it from the bayou or anything like that?
it's a separate,
It is, okay, it is
It
closed.
is, well,
there's an
not fed by
overflow.
it's detention.
Yeah. Yeah,
And where does the culvert go?
to
The bayou.
Mustang Bayou.
Okay.
We have waste, we have stormwater running into this area right here.
Is that what that's your
right,
culvert? Okay.
That's stormwater from this section of the neighborhood.
And then this is where the
This
overflow
is
goes
where
out
the
into the bayou?
Right, goes into
Yeah,
Ma-
okay, so
into,
it's not completely closed.
So, board members,
But it's all stormwater.
can
Yeah.
I say something?
It's not any.
Yeah, that would.
Well, you
that
know
would be
why you
only
got
in the event
alligator
of a large-
bars in there.
It's only in the event that we have a Harvey kind of event.
Right.
And we did not, by the way, no houses got water in Sedona Lakes during Harvey. My wife willed it away.
Joseph, you have a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to say something, expand to what Brian was saying. I know we are talking about a lot of details, getting to know a lot of history, figuring out problems and issues and all of that, which is all great and really informative. But what we have on the agenda is to see if this board is willing to recommend to the city council that staff explore the possibility of that collaboration and figure out a way to solve the problems, find ways to fund it, especially considering the fact that the park land is there. There is it's physically there. We cannot escape that fact. It's not kept right now. It's not in its full potential right now. Are y'all open to staff exploring that possibility of collaboration, and of course, with a memorandum of understanding or some sort of an agreement with the MUD or HOA or whichever parties involved? Are you all open to that idea? Once we are able to decide that, then moving forward, we'll have those conversations, just like the other item last meeting. We'll have those conversations. We'll bring updates to you on whatever progress we make, and we'll be. We've already taken notes, way more than I was prepared to. We'll follow up on those things as we move along. But I think the first step that's necessary is if y'all are open to that idea. If not, then what we are limited to is with the limited funds, with the limited resources, we'll have to find a way to either continue as we are continuing or find ways to step it up so that we can help this parkland to come to its full potential somehow.
Okay, I make a motion that we recommend to city council to explore options.
I'll second.
We'll get a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, motion approved.
And then that's all it will be, is just the,
Just exploring.
yeah.
And
We're not spending any money,
yeah, of course. And
except for y'all. Y'all, we're spending money on y'all.
And then we'll bring updates when we have any updates or we have a significant progress in terms of what is decided. We'll bring it to the board in our regular meeting. And whenever it's time, we'll sign, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose.
Just to, I wanted to clarify on that also, is we're not, we've decided we're gonna clean it up. It is, the city has reached a point where we can't have land with holes and stuff like that in it. What we're considering is partnering with someone that will make that happen considerably faster than with the limited resources that the city has. So we're not deciding whether to clean it up or not. We are gonna commit to cleaning it up. But with this way, we could do it considerably faster.
And clean it up into the direction that it needs to go. And are you talking about partnering with them?
But that's a whole nother conversation that'll come before the Parks Board, and there'll be many conversations about that. Tonight, we're only talking about, are you open to, to partnering up? And I think we made the right decision.
Yeah.
All right, if no more discussion on agenda item A, can I get a motion to approve the minutes to date?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes to date.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, having no other items on the agenda, can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion to adjourn.